Right, let's try and record our thoughts on Bitcoin. Um, since we are in February and we've had quite a significant drop. So our prediction of 74K has already been hit, and we're expecting a mini rally currently. But trying to forecast into the future here and look at what is likely to happen here. All a little bit of dubious speculation, as I always say. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm just trying to make sense of what I see on the chart. And we get some right, we don't get some right. But let's see if this prediction is coming handy in the coming months of 2026. So let's get into it. So from a monthly perspective, it's pretty easy if you keep it simple, until the MACD flips green, the momentum changes, right? On Bitcoin, and you start looking for entry points to buy. We don't have any. So it sits on the sidelines at the moment. Okay, that's number one. Because as you can see here on all of them, when you get your green, then you start looking for something, right? And you can dollar cost average at that point, and you tend to get very good entries if you start from there. If you go back in time again and have a look at 2015, you can see when you hit the floor, when it turned green was a good time to start accumulating Bitcoin. So at the moment, if I can even go back more, if we have the data, we don't have any more data. So beyond that point, but that is a very quick way of assessing if it's a good time to buy Bitcoin or not. So currently as it stands, nothing to do. You won't get the bottoms sometimes on this, but at least you have certainty of where you're going. So anytime on the monthly you get your green MACD, this is specially calibrated. So, then you should be looking for some kind of buying opportunity, buy some, start buying hard, as somebody would say. So that's a pretty simple thing to do. Currently, as you can see here, we don't have anything of that sort, right? So you just have to wait for it. And then at that point, it will be a much more safer opportunity for you to buy. Okay. But we're trying to forecast this mini bounce, right? This mini bounce move, you know, before you see that green MACD. So that's the monthly, and I'll move it to the weekly. Um, so the drops, in terms of drops, I mean, in 2017, Bitcoin dropped 84%. In 2019, it dropped I think about 72%. In 2021, we dropped about 77%. In 2013, it was about 85, and in 2011, I think it was about 93%. Probably, I think we'll see about 70% drawdown on Bitcoin this time as well. It seems logical to get 70% drawdown from the top. It's not the biggest drawdown we've ever seen, but if you do a 77%, 70%, it brings you back to around the 37K, 38K, which is probably where Bitcoin will fall to this particular trip. But it won't go down straight to 38K from where we are. So, that's why obviously I got my buy zone there. If let me just 37, let me just put it slightly above it here. Because of these moving averages, they keep moving up. So, you're likely to see this move up a bit more. So, this will keep moving and moving and moving, and it may move up. So, somewhere here will be my buy zone for Bitcoin for long term, long term. So if it hits anywhere in this box, I would estimate probably, this could take us, it could go all the way to maybe about let's add some time scales as well to help us. I would say we will probably continue sideways once we hit here. We'll go sideways till maybe October, September, October. So maybe let me elongate this a bit more to August, September, early part of October, I think somewhere there. So that's like a time scale, time zone for me. I think here I expect this to go up first, you know, go up to maybe about 84K, then start cascading down and cascading down and get into this box will be our prediction in terms of a drawdown on the weekly chart. So that line is really good. And if you go onto the, because we've only done two drops really. So these are two drops and we will get another drop. A third drop is on the horizon coming, but it won't happen when the RSI is hit oversold. You'd expect us to kind of bounce up a little bit first and play around this zone here for a while, go slightly high, play around it before we continue. Similar to what happened here, you just didn't continue going down, down, down. You kind of played around here for a while and then continued. So at the very least, I expect Bitcoin to hit about 77, 78K at the very least on this bounce before, if we're going to cascade, we cascade down. I think it probably goes to 84K. If you watch my video from yesterday, about 84K would be what we'd expect. Now, if we go back and have a look at the daily chart, and the daily chart, again, you can see where we are. So again, level 1 drop, level 2 drop, and we're going to have a bit of a bounce, and then you move on to your level 3, and that'll be the end of it. And you tend to see these the plays of how these RSIs play around. You tend to get some, especially on the daily chart, you tend to get quite a number of RSI oversold when it's actually coming down. So, you tend to see here from the peak here, we went oversold there, this whole place here, then we went oversold again, and then we went oversold again, and then we had a final flash, which was a divergence, and that took you up, right? So we've only currently on this particular, we only have got two. So there's two more oversold on the daily before we get comfortable in terms of anywhere near bottom. If you go back to 2017, I think this is 2019 as well, is the same. We had a few touches of it, a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4 before we went anywhere. And if you go to 2017 is a similar story. One touch there was sold, another was sold, another was sold, and another was sold here again, 4 before you go up. And then you've got another one here as well in 20, 20, this is 2013 as well. You can see here where you're oversold one, oversold, oversold, and you had oversold there as well. Had quite a few oversolds on your RSI, quite a few. And then you had a final divergence in place before you go up. So and again, if you go back in time, I think the other one is the same as well. If you go and look at the 2011 cycle of it as well, you can see oversold here 1, oversold here 2, oversold here 3. And then you had a final kind of divergence on it here, and you have a final divergence before you go up. So, 3 to 4 at the very least is what you should expect before you can look for a bottom. So that's what I think, in terms of a drawdown on Bitcoin. I expect about 70% drawdown from the top of 126 to somewhere, between, I would say, 38K and 45K. That zone would be our kind of area of comfort to buy Bitcoin for the long term. So anything below 50K, it's you start nibbling. I think anything below 50K is a nibbler. You start nibbling your way down, because you never know. But for me, I think 45K, 48K, I start buying Bitcoin, and I'll keep buying until it gets to maybe about 38K. 10K difference, you're there or thereabouts. So those are our thoughts and ideas and our forecast for the coming months. But you're going to get a bit of a rally first before into April, before this plays out.